Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to PD Talk, also known as the A-Block podcast. This week we don't actually have a podcast. I know, shocking, but we have been trying to figure a few things out behind the scenes. So there will only be an interview of Bryan Tully, Lord of Riverrun, and something new, Death of the Week, which goes over a PD event and explains how this person has died. First and foremost, we'll quickly switch to the interview of Bryan Tully.
So when lore started, there wasn't much to do, and there's still not much to do. And basically, I just want to act out my character realistically. And if you've, taken a look at my lore, I will basically just go with whatever my character would go. And right now, he's just focused on building stuff in the Riverlands, basically, even though we can't right now, with Econ not being out. And my whole character will be based around reacting to certain events. Then rather than being proactive in certain events. So I'm not really plotting anything. I'm just trying to make sure the Riverlands stay stable, and that's the main goal of my character right now. I mean, I think first of all the internal threats. I mean, I will address the external threats, castle building, etc. later, but I think the most important thing is internal stability, because the region has historically been very unstable, with Tully constantly acting like an appeaser. But with us keeping close ties to the Freys and possibly having an alliance soon, keeping close ties to Malister, making sure we have a bunch of joint events going on to form closer ties, and a lot of the dynamics, like realistic dynamics from the books not being in place, like Bracken and Blackwood, I think there won't be a big issue in that regard.
But Bracken and Blackwood are your non-developed family vassals, correct?
That is correct, and we will see how they play that out. I'm not going to be any roadblock there, and I'm looking forward to whatever they are going to do.
Let's hope Lore Team cooks with it, right? Get a nice
yeah.
Bracken Blackwood arc.
Now, in regards to the external threats, I mean, I have plan to have a bunch of joint construction projects with my vassals. Like, this will not only improve our relations and our bond, but also if we place, for example, castles at strategic locations that have been vulnerable in the past, for example, around Maidenpool, that would probably be our course of action in order to make sure that we not only seem as internally cohesive, but also as a threat to behold. But even though we don't want to threaten anybody, but we need to make sure that people don't want to step over the Riverlands and think we are not here to be a roadblock to any kind of war. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the only house I'm really we are planning to marry right now is the Starks. The heir Benjamin Stark is going to be married to my daughter Mirella Tully. But even then, I mainly want to see how lore unfolds, and based upon that, decide whether we take on more paramount alliances. I mean, to be honest, okay, this sounds pretty bad, but the moment I saw Graveghoul's downfall, I started writing my app, because
Bro knew.
No, I mean, I knew apps were probably going to reopen, but I also rather wanted to be Lord Tully. I originally applied for Darkland, and I'm gonna be honest, I wrote that shit in 4 hours and submitted right away without rereading. But for my Tully app, I actually took my time, spent around a week, every day. So I had the first draft written within 5 hours, and then improved it day by day by day, where I went through. I think I'm on my actual submitted application is on draft 5 or 6. But the main reason why I wanted to be Lord Tully is specifically because of this precarious situation in the middle of the Riverlands.
A nice little challenge,
kind of forced.
Right?
Yeah, it's a nice little challenge, even though it's not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable in the moment sense, because it's really stressful. But I still think it's kind of a good little challenge to have. And it's also kind of inevitably puts you as a key political player, because for military access.
Yeah,
and
do you
grain.
like that? Because
People need
I
to.
know a few lords, or supposedly a few lords, who do not enjoy that aspect of the roleplay that much. They don't enjoy the intrigue as much. They either just want to LARP or they just want to fight.
I mean, the thing is, if people and lords, and I'm speaking here now from behind the scenes info, if people actually made this intrigue and plotting in lore, it would actually be fun. But most diplomatic talks nowadays are, still in group chats and everything, and it's literally, I mean, it couldn't be less enjoyable in that regard. When we have, I mean, we are kind of focusing on having actual like talks in lore, and those are actually enjoyable because then they're not pulling out some random bullshit ass arguments, like spamming us with buzzwords in group chats. And I think the actual negotiations that have happened in lore were the best ones because there's no stupid out of lore pressure going on.
Right. There's no like, oh, but I know you for this long, for example, because you can't.
Exactly. If people just like kept it to lore and like didn't make ABOG as deep as they make it be, lore would be a whole lot enjoyable. I think the main problem here is not for me that people focus on either. I mean, Moons has a clear direction. I mean, he wants a roleplay based game. So in that regard, obviously, we should have more roleplay. But if it wasn't this weird mix of mixing up out of lore, milsim, and roleplay, I wouldn't really have an issue. It's just this a mix that is making everything way too confusing and unenjoyable. So I would rather have, like, for me personally, not from, Moon's expectations to the genre, I would rather have either people fully being this out of lore character and mill simming, or fully being committed to roleplay. But this middle ground is really just unenjoyable. And I mean, because Moons obviously wants the direction of the roleplay based community, we should stop, like, making so much stuff out of lore and focus like on interacting in lore and sending the ravens and I mean, only maybe clarifying some details out of the lore, because I mean, most of us aren't like, feudal lords. Most of us cannot maybe read some of the implications that were supposed to be in the letter into some letters. So, but except for specific clarifications, I don't think. I think most should happen in lore and not right now as it is. I still feel like it's a lot out of lore. Okay. I mean, first of all, for Malice and Frey, I mean, I think we're kind of planning to just kind of be a united force, because our split, I mean, in contrast to some other regions, our cap is split up onto our 3 houses. So if we were to get like dragged into war and do not stand united, we are kind of, I think, a useless force. Like in comparison to whatever, Lannister having 300 cap, which is crazy, by the way, and that vassal only having 75. Whereas, our cap is basically, my vassals have more cap than me. So we need to make sure that we have a lot of joint ventures, make sure that we work together, make sure that we have a bunch of lore together. And I think we're working on that right now very well. And we're also working on some concepts on making like a Riverlands Council that is distinct from, for example, the small council of the king, where we have specific roles.
So it's just region specific. It's like spy master of, for example, the Riverlands. So like.
No, not really that. Like that's what I'm saying. I don't want it to be another small council.
Right.
It would be kind of like the high envoy to the Crownlands, like the envoy that speaks for the Riverlands when there's like non-family diplomatic talks going on, or
I see.
A voice of the small folk, like a guy that is really focused on interacting with lore actors and basically conveying their desires and needs to us, so that we can have follow-up PDs and build, economic plans based on whatever lore mods plan. Also maybe I think I called it Master of Endeavors, which is kind of a shitty name, but we're gonna work on that. I'm not the best at naming. Basically, a seneschal that coordinates our joint projects, whether that be infrastructure, joint companies, etc., and make sure that we have a bunch of stuff to going on and become like interdependent on each other. So neither they or I have some sort of like overwhelming or domineering leverage over each other.
I see. And then for your death vassal, Muten?
Economic-wise, I think I'm gonna leave my death vassal a lot of freedom for his own projects. Just like I'm leaving the same freedom for Frey and Malster. I mean, there will be joint projects, but I think I've picked the correct person here to be able to independently work on whatever they want. For my non-deaf vassals, Bracken and Blackwood, I'm trying to set up a good roleplay structure within the house that would allow them to have some sort of feud at all.
Yeah, because there's no lords. That's the only thing I feel like the non-deaf has to struggle with lore-wise, because there are no quote-unquote Lord Bracken, Blackwood.
That's why I'm trying to kind of establish those factions in our house with. We kind of have a system of knight orders that are mostly for roleplay and identity value, where the people who want to be part of a specific knight order that is not just basic generic knights of Riverrun.
You disconnected from the game.
Yeah, I got disconnected from the game because I didn't move, Rick. But we just want to make sure that those guys who then join those knight orders have a little wiki written up about their character and appearance that fits roughly the identity and aesthetic of said house, whether it be the knight order for Bracken or the one for Mooten. I mean Blackwood. And then have lore based on that. So in sandboxes they can interact with each other, and then maybe lore mods pick up feuds here and there and tell us okay, you have to have a follow-up PD on that, etc. So I just hope that lore moderation picks up on whatever our Brackens and Blackwoods are going to do in lore, and develop something based on that, whether that be maybe a huge lore arc that leads to the final reconciliation between Bracken and Blackwood.
Just for it all to crumble. Just for it all to crumble 2 PDs later.
Yeah.
It's historically done, bro.
That would be funny though.
700 marriages and still nothing, bro.
Yeah. I've only heard it from secondhand, but from what I know is that Smallwood and Derry were Baratheon Targaryen supporters, each respectively. I think Derry was the Targaryen supporters, and then the problem arises. Okay, that means Derrys were kind of the traitors during the Riverlands, during the rebellion, and kind of then fought us. And then we kind of kicked out, the guy who picked the fight based on that. Smallwood was a Baratheon and Tully loyalist, and he picked a fight with Derry because they were traitors, which is kind of nonsensical from the Smallwood lore, because it's 20 years in the past. We don't even know, lore-wise, we don't know if the Derry Lord was active back then.
I don't know. I'd still hold a grudge, even if my character was if my character would be a loyalist to you and then get kicked out for mentioning that he's
no, it's not about that. It's about fighting the Derry Lord in the first place. That's
but still, I'd feel did he fight him or did he confront him first? What was the do you know the chain of events?
I don't know that. That's a thing.
I see. Yeah,
I'm I don't want to get that meta gamed, how it actually happened. And the main problem here is that we didn't have any lore briefing whatsoever on who was loyalist and who was
so it's just
traitors.
Hi, these are 7 lords, good luck figuring out what they are and who they are.
Yep. We didn't have any information about that, so a guy that sorted it out kind of didn't know what to do. I mean, he did know what to do, but he didn't know that one of them were traitors and the others were loyalists. And also, before being kicked out, he was kind of put into another room for the Smallwood guy was put in another room to calm down, and then he came back and picked the fight again.
Yeah,
so though I gotta say my guy picked his words not really wisely. It really kind of sounded like a death threat.
Oof.
Yep. But we're gonna see what kind of arc maybe develops from that.
See.
Maybe we will have to kill all Smallwoods and then a 50v50 lore actors versus Tully arc arises ticket battle.
And then the ticket battle is actually going to be led by Exilhudge, and all the Kingsguards are going to be there, okay? And they're all going to have...
and then House Tully gets wiped out.
Yeah,
boom,
and listen, here for the peak lore arc, right? 17 bears as well, bro, just spawn behind us as we're retreating.
No, not even that, bear riders.
Ooh, yeah.
Moon's gonna develop it just for that. Moons, if you hear us, come on. Let us ride bears. Okay, I mean, it kind of depends, on what kind of PTs we've had so far, and most of them were kind of peaceful. So I would actually, want a kind of like military bloody arc where there's just people dying left and right.
Damn.
Maybe like go into RL1 or RL3 and oh wait, actually like maybe a reaving PD, some Ironborn men, not Greyjoy necessarily, reave a village, and then we have to have like a huge freaking battle, and then we cavalry charge into the reavers or whatever, and like try to stop them from pillaging and killing everybody in the village,
And then Malice can come too. Oh, yeah. No,
and then boom. And then maybe there's also other PDs we could have like that are more peaceful. In that regard, I would probably in the future. That's a good question. What kind of peaceful PD would we want to have? I think I would. The reason why I would really want to have a city is because we can have better sandboxes in a city than at the Riverrun Keep. So I would probably really want to have like a sandbox PD at a city, where actually like everybody, LRs, MRs, HRs have something to do. You can just walk around, get drunk, like
dive alcohol,
do their own shit, like develop their characters for whatever they wanna do.
Once again, thank you, Bryan Tully, for allowing us to interview you, guys. Now it is time for. The death of this week is Zara Milano, a soldier of House Frey. He attempted to aid the militia of Fergistan in repelling clansmen which came from the Vale. However, while protecting the militia when it was retreating, he was shot in the eye by an arrow and died. And lastly, here is a list of everyone who has died this week. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any recommendations or anything you want to see, make sure you leave it down below in the comments. For the rest, have a good day.